The Constitution of the United States goes as follows. This is the preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Within that same Constitution of the United States of America is the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And so yesterday, upon hearing the news of Charlie Kirk passing in Utah during one of his campus's speeches, September 10, 2025, someone, a shooter, decided to end his life and send him on to heaven. So I ask, was that constitutional? That really wasn't. That was unconstitutional. You took someone's life away because you wanted to silence their First Amendment right, the same First Amendment right that you guys want to exercise, but do so poorly and walk away and be enraged by words rather than be enraged by what you see can physically happen, if that makes sense. You're more upset about someone's words than someone's actions. Someone can steal multiple things and there will be no outrage. But the moment that someone pushes back on your ideology or your ideas, there is outrage. And this has been going on and festering for years in our country as a whole. It's not even a specific state at this point. But to take someone like Charlie Kirk out and send him to the afterlife at 31, you fired a warning shot to sort of quiet everybody else that has been doing similar content like Charlie Kirk and getting ears and eyes on the ground and talking to people and getting their opinions on things. And we have lost our way as a nation and as a people, and it is completely sad. It is so sad to the point of you need to use somebody as a martyr, even though they probably didn't think twice about it because they don't really think of the aftermath. You basically made Charlie Kirk a martyr for the American people, for people to stand up, and for any kind of hold you had on those on the other side, they're going to switch over because that's not cool. We should be agreeing that someone's life, a human life, a man, a husband, and a father was taken away from his family and taken away from what he loves to do just because you don't agree with any of the rhetoric that he says. I don't agree with like maybe 2% of his stuff, but everything else is okay with common sense and what to do and stuff like that. But I'm not going to get really upset at the things that he said. I'm going to be scrolling on by if I'm scrolling on my phone. It really doesn't matter. But I'm glad that he's able to reach a lot of youth in America, especially in colleges where they want you to be dumb. They want you to be reliant on the stupid shit that they tell you, the things that they indoctrinate you with. And we are watching this in real time. So I don't understand why people want to constantly deny something that they can see for truth and they can see obviously what's happening. And we have wonderful content creators in the political space that break down exactly what's happening and give their opinions on it. Again, I am in no way, shape, or form very active in the political space. I don't want to be, but this is something that needs to be talked about, a heart-to-heart conversation with America, because how very lax, very, very lax, very, very desensitized that we have decided that it is okay to celebrate the death of a fellow American. Not even someone that is a monster from a foreign land or international or anything else. One of our own, an American. You go and celebrate the death of an American. that has the same rights as you, that's able to celebrate the First Amendment, and that was promised tranquility, welfare, justice, the same thing that we're all promised. But you just disagree with what he says and you go and take him out the cowardly way with a bullet in mid-sentence talking about gun violence, gun control, whatever it was. I am a subscriber to Jeffrey Mead. If you don't know who he is, he does wonderful, wonderful content exposing the lies and the hypocrisy of everything that we see. And he has a free Substack newsletter where you can get updates on everything going on around the world. He does wonderful work. By the way, I've yet to say welcome to Discord Notes Volume 5. This is going to be a little bit heavier, the portion. Originally, the idea for this episode was going to be talking about Patreon and why I decided to do a soft launch and just talk about my content, just talk about what I'm feeling, where this is going, where this is moving and stuff. And I thought that would have been appropriate for a Discord Notes Volume 5, something light, something fun. But then tragedy strikes and everybody feels it. And it's kind of weird that it happened yesterday and today is 9/11. And here in New York City, we lost the Twin Towers. And so it just feels kind of different and weird. And you know that there's an empty space. And to be honest, I really don't have the words to really make this as good as everyone else. Because one, I don't know Charlie like that. But two, through all the videos that I've seen, all the clips that I've seen, there was nothing malicious about Charlie Kirk, nothing at all. And you guys could push back in the comments if you want to, but there was nothing malicious about Charlie Kirk. He set up a table, he set up a tent, there's a microphone, he has a microphone. People of all colors, creeds, skin colors, whatever you want to say, they all came up to the mic. And they all said something, whether it was stupid, crazy, good questions, bad questions, they all had a conversation. And that's important. Conversations are important. It's the same way where I, Marie Shadows, when I host the Square Circle podcast, talking about professional wrestling, it's all about having a dialogue. It's all about having a conversation about how to improve the systems that are already in place and the stuff that you care about. It's about having a conversation about how to improve certain things that you feel that have not been the same ever since X, Y, and Z happened, or whatever the case may be. If you feel like something has been off for years and years and years and years, and you want to have a conversation about it, that should be your right. You should be exercising your First Amendment right rather than trying to be silenced because of a warning shot. But again, that warning shot is going to be waking up a lot of people around the world, including in America as well. Like, you guys thought that that could have been a victory or a silence. No, you made him into a martyr for no reason. The oversight went over your heads to do that to somebody in broad daylight, to instill fear. And that's how they get people to still stay within hating others. That's how they get people to do what they want them to do. They'll be yanking on their invisible chains and tell them you got to do it, and they go do it. They march with no convictions of their own. They march with other people's convictions, or they're just told, stand here and protest. And they don't know what they're protesting. We've seen it. It's basically obvious. Everyone has done a good job breaking it down, and we are watching this in real time. So if I probably mentioned this, I'm probably going around in circles, that we cannot be in denial and we cannot be in denial any longer of what's happening, because then that's going to lead us to be blind and ignorant to what's happening, like truly happening. That's why you got to stop watching mainstream media and pay attention to the good content creators that are breaking everything down in real time, giving real solutions and real thoughts to the problems that are plaguing us across the nation. But again, when you have scared kids that are coddled, they are going to react just like this because they don't want to have a conversation. They want you to just be like, oh yeah, you're totally right. When it's like, well, did you think about it this way? Did you think about it that way? And so what I wrote on Instagram, I'm going to read it because if not, I'm just going to continue to go back probably in a circle and whatnot. You know what it feels like? It feels like a good friend that left this world way too early, even though he has a great body of work, a really heavy body of work, and to be leaving this world too early, it just bothers me. It really does. It bothers me because we used to care about our neighborhoods, we used to care about our communities, we used to care about the things that are happening. And if somebody within your community was fucking up, you will call them out and be like, this is not right, and you would try to set them straight. Now everybody wants anarchy and chaos. And the moment that you push back to be like, hey, we need some type of structure, they're like, no, you can't tell us what to do. We don't want authority. And so for the years, maybe like 20 years in the making, this is what we get. We get everything that the other side has been pushing for because other people don't want to live in reality and other people don't understand the ecosystems of communities and the ecosystems of the United States of America. You always have to have somebody that wants to use their voice to say something stupid and untrue and unfounded, depending on what it is. But for the most part, they just want to talk loud, talk stupid, and dumb people attached to it like flies going to shit. And they don't really do anything. They think that they're helping the environment, they think that they're helping communities, but they're creating more laws, they're creating more restrictions that are going to get tangled up and they're going to catch themselves in a bind and they're going to be like, oh, well, these laws don't really work. And we've been trying to tell people that certain laws don't really work. So let me read you my little rant here over on my IG, your fave Marie Shadows. If you're not following, I basically said, people are so enraged by words and truth and proof that they want to stay in their bubble and think of the worst thing to do. Take someone to the afterlife. Charlie leaves behind a wife and 2 small children that won't understand why daddy won't be coming home tonight. That was the thing that broke my heart. Like, you have to tell 2 little kids that are not going to understand the concept of death. You have to tell them that their dad is not coming home, or they're not going to see their dad on his birthday, which was next month, or not even see their dad at Christmas time, where Christmas time is supposed to be about family and community. So his wife has to tell their kids that every single time until they get old enough to understand what happened to daddy. So I continue to write, that allows them to get hate in their heart, despite growing up Christian, thanks to the person who did this horrible act. That's how hate stays in the loop. Your hate, when acted upon and causes irreversible damage, will just keep on giving hate. That's also the other thing too, is that you decided to send him to the afterlife while he was in mid-sentence answering a question from somebody at the microphone. And by doing so, there's a lot of people that love him. And we see that now. There's a lot of people online that are posting up their stories and stuff like that. He was very, very much loved, whether you want to accept it or not. You don't have to accept it, but this is what's happening. This is what's happening in real time. And we can see this. There's a lot of people that loved him. But for those that are the closest to him, his immediate family, they're going to grow up with that hate in their heart because somebody took away a father and a husband from the family, which basically breaks up a nuclear family because he was promoting nuclear families, but it's not a bad thing. We used to have nuclear families, despite back in the day that it wasn't perfect, even though the propaganda was that you have a man, a woman, some kids, a white picket fence. Okay. That is the most cliche thing for me to bring up. But no, that those families weren't perfect, but family is family. The creation of family is family. You're always going to have differences with people, but sometimes you have to forgive in order to make progress in your own life. And we could have done that, but then again, the introduction of, oh, if the guy does this as a red flag, the guy should leave, you guys should kick him out, and then be relying on the government, and then bam, there goes the family. Nobody has the idea of like, we should be talking about our differences, we should be talking about the things that we argue about the most, we should go to therapy. Nobody wants that, because if reconciliation happens, then the families will get back together, and the government doesn't want that, because the government wants you to be reliant on them, which is different from actual situations that you need the government for. That's why I say there's an exception to every rule before the concept of this, the concept of the nuclear family, is that you guys are together, you guys grow up, meaning with kids and everything like that, but also that you all learn from your differences, you all learn from your discussions, you're all growing in unity as people. So, it's not going to be perfect. Sure, that propaganda was trying to be like, oh yeah, everything is perfect. No, it's not. But is life perfect? No, life is not perfect. I hope all that made sense. So I continue to write that Charlie's passing will let the whole world know that certain groups do not want or tolerate someone having freedom of speech. Charlie just finished a tour in Korea and Japan, talking to them, and was welcomed with open arms. America wants to silence those they cannot control, and no one trapped in the bubble, in the net, don't want to break out from it. Charlie's passing is going to have most people from the campuses rise up, continue to question, talk, make new content, and it'll drown out the other side that wants everyone to live their delusions. And that's the other thing too, is that do not bring me into your delusions, because it does not mix with reality. It does not. Do not bring me into your delusions. Don't bring other people into your delusions. We can always talk about what you don't feel comfortable with. And those are conversations where it can be a powerful breakthrough. Like, for example, I am a born legit female, woman, girl. I go through everything. I have all the secondary characteristics that you learn in biology, but I don't wake up saying that, oh, I feel like a guy today, because I'm never going to know what that feels like. I'm never going to know what it feels like to have a dick between my legs, unless I buy a strap on, but that's totally different. But this is me being real and honest with you guys of like, I don't wake up to be like, oh my God, I want to know what it feels like to be a guy. No, I'm just a sassy girl that pushes back sometimes, that could get very, very fiery, but I do have my moments of being girly depending on what it is. If you guys buy me stuffed animals, I will be a girl because I like stuffed animals. There are just different characteristics that I'm not going to question to be like, hey, I want to know what it's like to be like a guy today. And aggression just does not mean that you're a guy. Everyone has aggressions. Everyone has microaggressions, macroaggressions, even females. Females have aggression too. Even if you think that they're the most cutest little tiny girl that don't really talk too much, they have aggression. We all have aggression. Aggression does not equal you are a man. It really doesn't. The stuff that defines your body basically makes you a man or a woman, not so much a anger characteristic like aggression or raising your voice, because females raise their voice every single time. So those do not count as, oh my God, I woke up today and I feel aggressive, therefore I am a guy. No, it doesn't work that way. We all have anger. We all have sadness. We all have depression, anxiety. We all have yelling. We all have these emotions. It is not specific to one or the other to make you whatever sex it is. It's not. I just want to mention that to clear that up. And by the way, no one is stopping you from buying a strap-on and buying boobs and having fun behind closed doors. If you want to feel like the opposite sex, like you could go explore that behind closed doors. Just don't do it in front in a public display or even online, because nobody needs to know that business. And I will say this, that a lot of people put their business online and it's like, can you guys just cut down, because we don't really need all of that TMI, all of that too much information. We really don't. But if you want to wake up one day and be like, I want to know how it feels to be like a guy, just go buy a strap on, put it on, have fun at home, and problem solved. Problem solved. Because, you can still have fun that way. There's no reason why you can't. Okay, let me finish up this rant. Charlie Kirk was effective changing people's minds, even if you didn't agree with his strict Christian messaging or something else. There was still a little truth to what he said. A human life got taken away. That's my problem. A human, a man. He didn't stop anyone from working, making money, or evicting them. He just talked. Allowed people to speak with him. He allowed dialogue. But the other side wants to keep you dumb. The other side wants to keep you reliant on them and only them, pulling on their chain. And when I say their chain, everybody that's brainwashed, everyone that still wants to vote Democrat, everyone that still wants to defund every single thing, but yet then when they're in trouble, they want to call 911, but you guys defunded safety. So, and everybody else that's like in their own net, in their own bubble, all of those people, they're pulling on your chain and yanking when you go too far, when you decide to try to leave and try to better yourself for your existence. And I ended with Charlie leaves this world at 31, assholes. Because it really is unfair that you decide to take out somebody because they're exercising their freedom of speech. And you want to also exercise your freedom of speech and freedom of protesting and say that you're protesting peacefully. But then when tragedy like this happens, it's like you guys make it okay. And when I say you guys, it could be a bunch of different things. This podcast episode could definitely go in a bunch of different ways, but I will say that it was a mistake to do so because now you made everybody an enemy, and they're going to be an enemy towards the other side. And it's easy to say that this is a Democrat problem. It's easy to say that this is a gun problem. It's easy to point the fingers, but I really think that Charlie would not want that. Charlie would not want us to point the fingers, even if it's so obvious. And if you put two and two together, you're like, it has to be them. It has to be them. You would just turn into them and be at the bottom of the barrel like them to start pointing fingers. And it's better to be more vigilant and to be more guarded and to make sure that there is a change. Every single news outlet or like little small snippets from the content creators that I watch to keep me informed, the other side has always talked about violence this and get violent and, push back against them and push back against them. And what has the conservatives and the right side done? Nothing. All we have done, and I'll put myself in there even though I'm not labeling myself. People online want to label me all sorts of things, but it's like you don't know me. You really don't. And even if to you this might seem like clear cut, whatever, it's really not. I try to be as neutral as I can on situations like this, on conversations like this. So you could think whatever you want. I'm not going to entertain it. But for the other side have only spoken about what they thought, comments, and they never said to any of their people in their community to go do the same thing what the other side has been preaching for the past months. And it just seems to get worse and worse and worse. So again, if you're just listening to this and you're a first-time listener of the Discord Notes Volume 5, do not try to go back and forth with others that are laughing. Do not try to go back and forth with others that are just completely lost in their way, because they will scream, respect me, but they don't respect anybody else. They will scream, oh, you're infringing on my right for the First Amendment for freedom of speech. But the moment that they don't agree with somebody, they have to take them out. That is such ass backwards. And it's more like controlling. And then when they talk about certain type of propaganda stuff and when they use all the buzzwords that we've heard for the past couple of months, like really truly listen to who's truly the enemy. I really don't want to point fingers or point sides, but you can put two and two together. We are not going to be doing that. It's best to continue to just talk to people. What's wrong with having a conversation? What is wrong with that? Why do Americans want to be so dumb, but when they're loud, they think that they're so right? I don't understand that. It's not about trying to win something. For some reason, over the past maybe like a year and a half, it's been about they have to win, they have to win, you have to conform to them. And it's like, why? How did we get here? Why do you want to win so badly against somebody that is probably not going to be in your life? And I say that because people meet random people all the time. And sometimes that random person may not even be staying in your town or in your city. They might be visiting. And the moment that you get someone to push back on whatever the conversation is, you want to rip their head off. You want to be so angry. You want to be so violent. For what? You don't even know them. You want to be violent towards somebody you don't even know. And the saddest part is that all this shit is just to oppose one man. That is sad. America has fallen because we allowed these little things to continue to bubble up. And having Charlie go on to the afterlife is probably the last straw, because how dare people do that? How dare a coward decide to silence somebody as a warning and think that it's going to just silence Americans, the ones who need safe spaces and coddling and living their delusions with them. Yeah, they're going to need those safe spaces. But America was built on fuck around and find out. And America is not perfect. No country is perfect. Every single country has some type of bloodshed on their hands, have some type of conquering on their hands. Rome almost conquered all the world, and then the Roman Empire fell. And so, they have blood on their hands, but they don't constantly remind people of the atrocities that they've done. We basically celebrate Italian culture, Italian architecture, and like the good things that happen. And they got to mix their ideologies. They got to mix their people and their economies and their food and all this stuff. And look how they turned out. Awesome. Still, it's Italy. The point that I'm trying to make is that everybody has blood on their hands. Everybody has a really bad history and also a really good history. When you focus on the good things, a lot more positivity happens, because then we can progress in life. The moment that we continue to talk about division, the moment that we continue to talk about things that don't matter, the moment that we always try to blame something based on someone's skin color, you're not going to be moving forward. You think that you're moving forward, but you're not. You're not reaching anybody. You're still trying to plant the same kind of fear that has been going on for years and generations while you sleep at home. Don't really have to think about anything, but you want other people to fear what's happening. You want other people to listen to misinformation. You want other people to remain in the dark rather than going to the light. How does that help anybody? It really doesn't. Charlie Kirk was that light, and it gets taken away, but it gets replaced by everybody that has ever felt his message and understood his message and never took his messages out of context. While there's probably maybe like 2% of things I didn't agree with him on, most of the stuff is pretty accurate. And the 2% that I didn't really agree with him on is the idea of abortion and Christianity to an extent, but I understood where he was coming from. So it's sort of like, whatever it is. And for the record, I do not believe that women should use abortion as a form of birth control, especially when they scream, "My body, my choice." And so if it is your body and your choice, and if you know you're going to engage in some sexual activity, please go buy condoms. The same way that I think, like, what, back in the 80s, maybe a little bit further than that, men in the household, husbands in the household would teach their sons to always carry around a condom in their wallet just in case if anything was to happen. So that way men could be responsible if they were going to have some type of sexual activity. So, dear women, if you are not on any kind of birth control or whatever the case may be, carry around a condom with you. The same way that you'll carry around a tampon or a pad whenever you get your monthly, carry around a condom if you are serious about the phrase of my body, my choice. There is nothing wrong to protect yourself in any sexual capacity or any type of day-to-day activity or just to be safe on the streets. There is no bad reason for you to protect yourself. If you're going to be loud and dumb on certain issues, you might as well protect yourself and just have something in your purse or just whatever the case may be. It's nothing nasty. It's nothing vile. It's not embarrassing. It just means that you believe in the phrase of your body, your choice. Therefore, make sure that you are protected. So, with that being said, if you are on the right and if you are conservative, because I have been seeing a lot of stuff and I have been reposting a lot of stuff that just makes sense to me, do not stoop to the other side's low hanging fruit, bottom of the barrel, laughter, or pointing of the fingers. Don't do any of that because that's what they want you to do. What you should be doing is focusing on yourself and trying to do the best that you can for you and to make sure that people that you love are safe. Stand up for what you believe in. Don't waver. Have an open mind. Have honest discussions. And even if the discussions seem way too heavy, way too emotionally involved, the best that you can do is say, hey, we're going to agree to disagree, and you guys are going to move on from the conversation. Do not get caught in their emotional distress because they feel like they have to win an argument or they feel like you're not listening to them when you are listening to them. If they feel like you aren't listening to them, just repeat back to them what they just told you to be like, I want to make sure that I am listening correctly to what you're saying. Then maybe their energy will change. Who knows? But this is what the other side does to silence people. But we on the other side never really silenced anybody or tried to silence anybody in the current times for the time frame that we can remember. It's always been the other side to sort of throw jabs, have riots, if they didn't agree with Elon, to burn down his businesses. And it's like, why are we doing this? Why are we trying to start up chaos when it should be a peaceful time for everybody? Because essentially, if you have all the basic necessities and you're still going through life with a happy mindset and that you have a roof over your head, you're able to sleep every night, you have food, you're able to go out with friends, like the normal basic stuff that doesn't require a woe is me qualification. If we have all of that, then we're living pretty good. Of course, there are things that need to be improved, and you can go and peacefully talk about that, have open conversations because nothing is perfect. Our systems are not perfect, but it's damn near the best that we can do right now. And if you don't like it, well, then that's a you problem. Charlie Kirk did not need to go on to the afterlife, but I really do hope, even though I'm not religious, but I really do hope that Jesus met him at the gates. I'm really not religious. Like I said in the last Discord volume 4 notes, I grew up Catholic, but I am agnostic. But this was very, very like unnecessary. He did not need to go, but he did a great amount of work and definitely changed people's lives, changed the minds of youth in America to where things are making sense and we're coming back to common sense. We are. Hopefully we are. But unnecessary. But now Charlie is in heaven with Jesus. And again, way too early. Way, way too early. The other side made him a martyr. Rest in peace, Charlie, and pray for his family. If you made it this far in Discord Notes Volume 5, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for hearing me out and having an open mind. This is obviously way different than my wrestling stuff, but I really do think that because I had to talk about equality in professional wrestling and why we shouldn't be selling women the idea on equality, because it really doesn't do anything. It really doesn't. It sets up women for failure and feminism and my take on all of that, which you can find in my back catalog of the Square Circle podcast. But I just quickly want to mention that this will be living on Patreon, and the Patreon is patreon.com/Marie Shadows. In the next Discord Notes Volume 6, I will be explaining everything about Patreon, explaining everything about all the other social media stuff and all the content and stuff. And I would like to invite you guys to listen to that next episode. But this Discord Notes will be on Patreon. Therefore, that episode will be up on Spotify, which is Discord Notes on Spotify, which is the second show in addition to the Square Circle podcast. And yeah, I'm just going to be rebuilding up my Patreon, patreon.com/Marie Shadows, where you can listen to Discord Notes before anybody else, before the general public. So you get to have it first, early access. Sign up for any of the memberships. There are 3 memberships. One membership is $1. That is the grandfather tier. That's not going to change, but you really don't get much. You're not going to get early access to these episodes and new content that I'm working on. There's a second tier that is $5. That's just for Discord Notes. If you just want my opinions on other things outside of wrestling and stuff that happens in my life, those are $5 monthly. And then the VIP, which is $12, you get everything included. You get early access, Discord Notes, the Crossroads series, and I'll have more information about that in Volume 6. I don't want to take up too much of your time listening to something very, very heavy where it can divide or not divide people in the comments, but who knows? But this episode is available on patreon.com/Marie Shadows. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this whole entire thing. It was very difficult and hard for me to try to get out the words I wanted to say on this topic because it really was a senseless killing of Charlie Kirk. A very senseless, no need to take his life, no need to send him into the afterlife just because you wanted to silence everybody. You want to silence what is effective, and that is not how a society grows. That is how a society stays ignorant and in the dark. When we should all be in the light, we should all be celebrating each other's differences. We should all be together as a group, as unity, and agree to disagree half the time. And just be like, hey, you're an individual. Cool, I'm an individual too. Just respect boundaries and whatnot. I just want people to be at peace. But you cannot have that when you have chaos in the background and puppets pulling the strings. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll see you guys on Discord Notes Volume 6. I am your host, Marie Shadows.